But you know what, Jada? I used to do Tawana at 6 a.m. So I
Oh,
could do
Jesus, girl, and she crazy too.
it. Yeah. See, that stick had a training. You have to go to Planet Fitness and build your way up. Then,
Well,
yeah.
no, I'm not gonna say that because he has a free class on Saturdays for Shelby Cares that helps you build it.
Oh, well, let me get this info to you.
I'll send it to you.
Mm-hmm. Oh my. And the journey begins.
He
All
has a
right.
free class on Saturdays for Shelby Cares that helps you build it.
Oh, well, let me get this info to you. All right. So we're back in. So I'm excited. Basic anatomy, physiology, and nutrition. Let's get into it. All right. So look, one thing I don't want y'all to do, don't get scared of the terms. But if you know your terms, you're going to pass your tests. If you know your terms, you're going to understand everything that your client has going on. When you know your terms are going to define everything that you see in your client, in the salon, in your network, everything. And so your terms are going to be key components for you to understand. If you understand those, you basically have learned the chapter. All right. You understand those, you learn the chapter. And y'all, we are going to, in our aesthetics class, we do things like case studies. And a lot of the case studies, when we see something going on with a client's skin, a lot of the times we have to ask detailed questions in our consultation because it's usually something going on with one of their systems, their body systems. And so, even in your consultation, you'll be talking about anatomy and physiology. And if you study certain systems, you'll know that these systems can work together, which one's not really working, and which one is producing what. Some of the key systems that I'm just going to go ahead and give you a note about when we are looking at our clients, their reproductive system. Your questions are going to surround this system and it's going to tell you what's going on with the body, where it's coming out of and where it's going into. Now, our hair, skin, and nails are on the same system. Our brain, the nervous system says, hey, baby, we're trying to breathe. We're trying to digest. So we're trying to do, we need this heart to beat. We need this blood to flow. Ain't nobody got time for hair, skin, and nails. So hair, skin, and nails on the last. They get the last of the last. So yes, truly what they do on the outside, we got to. And then you got to add a little more extra. And if you're not eating right, exercising, you're not getting any extra on the inside. All right. So it's all about that health and wellness that even as natural hairstyle, licensed natural hair professionals, you will have to push this and this will be your agenda. It's whatever you got going on the inside, it helps me on the outside. You're no magician. You're no magicians. Okay. There's no such thing. You can't hocus pocus and create beautiful hair. All right. That hair comes out based on what put in the body and how the body is reacting, and then it starts to produce. So our students in aesthetics, they were on aromatherapy facials. So with aromatherapy facials, they had to have a small class and an understanding on essential oils. If you look on our YouTube page, DCI Education Group, you will see the training, the Zoom we did on essential oils, okay? Those essential oils is basically the same training I'm gonna give you, but even better, all right? It breaks down the essential oils and it gives the benefit of the skin. Some of them for the hair too. But this is one I told them, and it's kind of controversial now with a product company. I don't want to say the name of the company, but rosemary oil and rosemary Spain oil. So you may hear it as rosemary essential oil, rosemary infused rosemary oil, and then rosemary Spain. However you hear it, we got to know exactly what it does. Okay. Have anybody seen any products that have rosemary oil in it? They probably doing them in drops because there's a drop for everything now. A dry hair drops, oily hair drops, protective scalp drops,
Seen it all.
growth drops. Yeah. And at the end of the day, you can have any kind of drops. I want to understand the ingredient. All right. So one thing we got to understand with rosemary oil, yes, it stimulates, but rosemary oil, it's just a little template, a little explanation. Take the drop. Most of the time, you put it on your scalp, and then as you massage in, remember your skin and scalp is going to absorb whatever you put on it. And so, what happens, that rosemary oil molecule base can really gravitate down and it can go beneath those 5 layers of the skin. This is where you'll find different things like if we're talking about skincare, hyperpigmentation, this is where you can find papilla, the blood, and the blood carries the nourishment to the hair. And so once this oil goes down and it can penetrate further than some of the other oils, it's considered really one of those premium oils. What it starts to do, and what you feel is like a stimulation, but it starts to dilate that follicle. So that follicle kind of, instead of becoming tight, it opens up slightly. And as it opens up, more blood is able to come in that circulatory system that carries the nutrients. So as the follicle, the hair bulb, that hair root is able to get more food, it's an endless supply. The more it gets, the more it grows. Okay. The more it gets, the more it grows. So at the end of the day, yes, they said, oh, with rosemary oil, we see a whole lot of hair growth. Yes, because you see that follicle dilated. And wherever that follicle is dilated, if it swells, more of that circulatory system is able to go in. And at the base of that follicle is able to give more nutrients to that hair root. So as that hair root is taking on more nutrients, it is growing. That's all it needs to grow. Okay. And so, yes, we see that. But what they don't tell you is that even though it's a good thing, too much of a good thing could be a bad thing. And so the directions that they say, use once a day, use twice a day, you really have to look at that, because I would generally say if you use those drops maybe once a day, after about 3 months, pause. I will pause for about 3 months, and then pick back up in 3 months. Okay. Because if you start using it so much, too much of a good thing literally turns into a bad thing. And it could be too much where your hair does not grow that average amount. It could take on, there's other things down there as well. So too much of it kind of like drowns out other stuff. Could we experience some hair loss? In some places, yeah. With certain people, yeah. And so we have to understand that factor. Like, wow, I thought it was a growth promoter, promotes growth. Yeah. But too much of it, remember, there's other things under there too. So in other components that allows it to grow, what if those other components are suffocated? There's going to be no growth. And so this is where you have, I would say, some hair loss because the product is being used improperly. Okay. And so I'm all the way good for people creating their own products. I'm great. I encourage my students to experiment, create their own products. But I also will hold them accountable for education and training of those, learning about those ingredients. And so knowing what you can mix and what you cannot mix, knowing which ones are, you want to use all the powerful stuff, but what if those powerful things don't work well together? So even with skincare, turmeric and kojic acid has been this thing on TikTok. You say, oh, use it. But then you see these people with these results of their skin burning and so much stuff going on to their skin. Well, when you got two betas, two very strong exfoliators that help lift old dead skin cells, they don't bind chemically well together. But what happens, they work well alone. And so a lot of times people try to take powerful ingredients and say, oh, it does double duty. Well, if your skin and scalp texture is very rough and it could take it, it takes it. But for those individuals that may try it, that have very sensitive or very thin skin, it does not do them justice. And so I hold them accountable for ingredients, just like I will hold you guys accountable for knowing about the ingredients. And in fact, what should be done is one, maybe turmeric in the morning, and then your kojic acid product in the evening. And so it should have a set, hours apart from each other, and should not be used on at the same time. That's how you will take care of that if you must have it. But understanding the aggressiveness of those ingredients, and there's a category of those, you should just choose one. Because most of the time when you're building the products, you don't know who's purchasing it. You don't know their skin type. You're not analyzing everybody's skin. You don't have enough time to do all of it. And same thing goes with somebody's scalp. You don't have enough time to know what's going on with their scalp. So you can say one strength here and another strength over there. Okay. Or be very detailed about, this is a treatment that you should have for your scalp. And then if you don't have these issues going on, you cannot get this treatment on this side. So that is a major component of why we're learning anatomy, physiology, and nutrition. And it goes down to what works well together, and then understanding the human body functions as a whole. How do these systems work together? So yes, there are 11 systems, which means there are major organs to go with those systems. So we're just going to make sure you have a general understanding. And then from there, we're going to move forward and talk about some of the major systems. All right. And so if we define some terms, and usually if you're in the status Cosmo Natural Hair, you'll find the same anatomy, physiology, then they start to tailor it off to how it benefits you. So anatomy is the study of the human body structure. And you can see this with the naked eye, like my eyes, my hands, my feet. Okay. The structure, study of the human body structure that can be seen with the naked eye and how the body parts are organized. Well, this system includes this, and so it goes over there. And then physiology is the study of how those systems, those structures function. So you're going to study, you're going to identify the structure, let's say circulatory system. It includes the blood and the heart and the veins. Okay. Then we study how they function. How do they work well? Well, I told you previously that what you eat, you are what you eat, and what you eat starts to get processed through the digestive system, filters through the digestive system into the circulatory system. Good or bad is carrying it to all other parts of the body. All right. And so at the end, our hair, skin, and nails get the last of the last. So if you're not putting a lot of good stuff in, by the time everybody else gets their piece of the pie, there's nothing left for the hair, skin, and nails. So we have to do better. Okay. Let's look at cells and a group of cells create tissues, and a group of tissues are going to create organs, and organs create systems. We build systems around the organs, okay? I told you that your definitions are going to be bond, okay? Cells are the basic units of all living things. Without cells, there is no life, okay? Then we have tissues. This is what I want you to understand. There are groups of tissues. You have connective tissue. And where do you think connective tissues, things in your body that have to connect? Connective tissue is found around the skeletal system. That's your bones, because you have cartilage, you have ligaments. They also are found around the muscles where you have tendons, okay? Um, it says adipose tissue gives smoothness and contour to the body. A lot of times in aesthetics, that's what we are molding. We're pushing. And when you look at your arm and hand, there is a smooth tissue that gives the shape of the hand, of the arm. That's the adipose tissue. And that is, it's a little, you cut your skin open, it's a little fatty tissue. That's what that is. Okay? A lot of times what they're taking out and putting in other places, adipose tissue. All right? Fatty tissue. Just taking out and putting somewhere else. That falls under connective tissue. All right? And then there's epithelial tissue, protective covering on the body surfaces. You can find this that the lungs have a covering of epithelial tissue. They're not just exposed, they got this thin tissue like a membrane around it as a protective layer. It's also on around the heart. Okay. Tissue inside the mouth, the lining of the heart, the digestive and respiratory organs, and the glands have this epithelial tissue. When you see the word epithelial, think of flat. Okay. When you see the word epithelial, think of flat. And then you have muscle tissue. It contracts and moves various parts of the body. Muscle tissue actually is like this. Look, it gives you, take your arm, raise it up. Jada's going to the gym, getting those muscles together. Muscle tissues contracts and moves various parts of the body. You guys are going to be dealing with the scalp. There's muscle tissue on the scalp. There's connective tissue on the scalp. All right. And then there's nerve tissue. Everybody deals with nerve tissue. Carries messages to and from the brain and controls and coordinates all bodily functions. This nerve tissue, in the last 10 years, this nerve tissue, nervous system has been a major, no, I wouldn't say 10 years. I want to say all my life, and I'll be 45 this year. This nerve tissue, and I've been in the beauty industry since I was 14 years old. I've been licensed since I was 18 years old. So all of my adult life, all of my bootleg life, all of my licensed life, I've been an educator since I was 20 years old. So coming up on 25 years. Y'all, all of my existence, nerve tissue has been a major, major influence on hair growth and hair loss in our community. And not only in our community, just in general. All right. You ever heard someone say, "You're getting on my nerves"? They get on my nerve. You ever heard someone say that? Yes or no? Have y'all ever said that? That just gets on my nerve.
Yes.
Y'all, guess what? Stuff can get on your nerve. Literally. You know what settles on your nerve? Stress. We don't see it. We know how it makes us feel. but it's an energy that sets on our nerves and it applies pressure, y'all. And on the outside, we be smiling. We be like, all is well. And on the inside, your body is saying, you know it ain't. On the inside, your body be saying, look, we got this pressure. She out here smiling. It's just put more pressure on us. And then that pressure becomes too much of a weight. And then when it becomes too much of a weight, it starts to break stuff. Okay? It starts to create stuff. And it can set over in a place and produce the bad cells. It could kill off the good cells and produce bad cells. Remember, cells are in every living thing. Even if it's bad cells, guess what? It spreads. So this is where, and you be like, Miss Cox, it goes deep. Yeah, this is where small forms of cancer starts to pop up. Because it can get into a place and create bad cells. You have sickness. You have headaches. You have anxiety. You have nervous issues. You have hair loss. All right. And so it starts to sit in. And when you see that on your clients, they come in any kind of stressful way. As a professional, your first job is to de-escalate that stress. Use what you got to de-escalate the stress. If you got to use essential oils that calm, be intentional about how a person, when they come into your business, they're going to activate their senses. So do you have warm tea instead of sodas? Water instead of teas? Or you can do Chinese healing teas. You can do that instead of sodas. Instead of chips, crackers. Instead of crackers, maybe fruit. Instead of hip hop music, maybe jazz. Maybe instead of jazz, spot instrumental. Instead of a really bright room painted yellow and pink and color of Tiffany, maybe how about just a white room with a black wall? How about just a blue wall? How about just a wall with blue, green, and purple on it? All of that stuff helps the client calm down and it releases that pressure on these systems. It starts to minimize the multiplication of the bad cells. And when it gets into the blood feeds nourishment to all the organs and all the systems. So what we don't want is that energy to get into the circulatory system and give the eyes bad stuff. Then you have issues seeing your headaches. Then you don't want it to get into the lungs. You don't want it to get into the stomach, digestive system. All of that is signs of illness. And a lot of times it can be stemmed from the pressure that you internally just keep inside. This is why counseling and therapy, is essential. And this is why for generations, beauty professionals have been known as counselors. Now, lately, I've seen them say, this is the price with therapy, this is the price without therapy. However y'all do it, that is fine. But understanding what's going on inside the client's body and just from listening to them, you have a responsibility when they're there with you. What are you going to do? And so that nerve tissue is something you always need to look out for. And what makes that up is the nerves, the brain, and the spinal cord. My objective, how do I make the nervous system relaxed? Even as an esthetician, how do I make the nervous system relaxed? Because I know the nervous system control everything else. I need the nervous system to relax. So what I try to do is channel the senses, the smells, I'm not a doctor, remember? So the only thing I can do is channel the senses. The smells, I can control what they smell when they come in. I can control how they feel, not cold, warm. I can control the senses of sight, what they see. I can control that. If they see a lot of clutter, that falls back into that pressure. If you didn't know, clutter falls back into anxiety and builds up into other stuff. So I don't want them to see clutter. I also don't want them to see just an array of different things just sitting around. I want them to be a more simplex area. So when you start taking your career and job seriously, and you're talking to your clients and you're seeing what they're dealing with, you say, okay, while they're with me for this hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, this is what I can give them. I can give them a place of solitude. And we're not matching energies. So if they're coming in complaining about work, you can put certain things in place that they start to smell, the scent they start to smell, it starts to relax them. Putting a little lavender or peppermint oil behind their ear starts to relax them. Or you can take your essential oil and place it across their nose before. This is how we start. Just breathe in, breathe out. I can take lemon essential oil, y'all, and I could take that lemon essential oil and I could just breathe it and out, in and out. And it really lights my day. Okay. So understanding, watch that YouTube about the essential oils, just understanding just the benefits of it and how you're going to use it. And you're probably going to use it in a lot of hair care as well. It just changes the atmosphere. So we'll talk a lot about the nerve tissue, but those are the tissues. It's 4 nerve tissues, 4 tissues. And then we have the organs and body systems. Let me put in the chat how, you're going to, and I'm going to put in the chat. Okay. The systems are going to go like this. This is how you're going to remember them. And we're probably going to have to add one more. C, Mr. Denser. Denser. And we'll probably add I. Okay. I see Mr. Denser, and I think it's an additional I because some textbooks are updated and some are not. All right. Go back to share. And we'll go back to our screen. Okay, going back to our screen. And then looking at the systems, I see Mr. Denser, the first I, integumentary system. That is the hair, skin, and nails. That's the last system that gets any nourishment. So when you hear me talk about hair, skin, and nails, it's all on the same system. So whatever you see going on weird that's what's going on with her hair, it's probably signs have been given to you about the skin and about the nails. So when you're talking to your clients about something or they're complaining about something with their nails, start to see symptoms, start to train your eye to say, okay, if that's going on with the nails, that has to be going on with the skin and has to be going on with the hair. They're all in the same system. Okay. And so it's just when you start to look through your client's scalp and you seeing this dryness that you've never seen before, I definitely am going to ask about water intake. I'm definitely going to ask about medications, but also I'm going to say, let me see your nails. And also, I'm gonna say, let me see your skin. So if you start to see dry skin around the nose, dry skin just in different areas, yeah, it's something general that is going on, systemic that is going on that's bothering or causing the whole system not to act right. All right, and so that is something that needs some attention. And the integumentary system protects the body. It protects the body. Okay. Let's look at our organs. We need to know the organs and what they do. The brain controls the body. The eyes control the body's vision. The heart circulates the blood. The kidneys excrete water and waste products. That's going to be key. The lungs supply oxygen to the blood. The liver removes waste created by digestion, and skin covers the body and is the external protective coating, and stomach digests food along with intestines, and intestines digest food along with the stomach. Now, go to intestines, stomach, liver, kidneys, liver, stomach, intestines. Everything you put in your body, these organs got to work to get it out. Everything you put in your body, these organs have to work to either take the good out of it and push out the bad. Okay. And so, yes, this is why we have a nutritional aspect, because if we're having more, say, nutritional wise, eating healthier, these organs don't have to work so hard. Okay. When you talk about kidneys, we are also talking about endocrine glands, our other glands as well. And reproductive system, we're talking about endocrine glands. The liver, we're talking about excretory system. And so what we're talking about is these systems that surround these organs that can cause our hair, skin, and nails to look crazy. It's either gonna look amazing or it's gonna look like something's wrong. Okay. A lot of times when we start to see our clients complain about digestive issues and you see them out partying on their Facebook, they do excessive drinking. These organs could definitely be at risk of causing some unwanted issues with the hair, skin, and nails if these organs are not functioning how they should be functioning. And so when I start to see stuff, I will ask about illnesses related to these organs and medications related to these organs. And that'll get me to what's really going on with the client's skin, hair, and nails. It just goes a little deeper than you bringing them in and saying, okay, what style you want today? If you're really going to be their person, their hairdresser, their professional that tends to their hair, you got to know what's going on in the times that they're not there with you. You got to know what they're putting into their body and what's going on as far as medications and things of that nature. Let's look at the skeletal system. That's the first system we're going to talk about. The biggest component of the skeleton system is going to be the bones, the joints, the tendons, not so much the tendons, but the bones. Okay. It's going to give us shape. All right. That muscular tissue sits on top of those bones. So it gives curvature, but the bone is going to give us a shape. Oh, we can't have curvature without we have something to curve. All right. So we have a structure that's built, and that's the skeletal system. It's that structure. and it gives shape and support to the body. Now, the rib cage is one thing that we'll talk about. When we say it gives support, that rib cage gives shape to that chest area that we see, and it protects our internal organs. So our organs, most of our internal organs, like the heart, the lungs, digestive system, heart and lungs especially, are in that what we call thorax or rib cage. All right. And so that's that protection support. And it protects various internal organs and structures, serves as attachments for muscles, so the muscles cling to the skeletal system, and it gives us body movement. Okay, gives us body movement. Also, skeletal system, this is where we start to see connective tissue. And with these connective tissues are ligaments, joints. They start to connect different things together in the body to give us a body. All right. Our bones connect. Our fingers, most of our fingers have 2 and 3 bones. And they're not just lingering there. They have that connective tissue in between them that connects them to make a finger, to make a leg, to make this and to make that. One thing that you're going to deal with now, you're going to deal with the bones of the skull, bones of the cranium, because you guys are going to be dealing with the hair and scalp. So I am a key component. No matter what you touch, you need to know what it does. If you are doing some braids, I need you to know what's that. If I point to that, all right, y'all, I'm back. My device got heated, and so I'm letting some air get to it. But yeah, as we talk about the skeletal system, I need you to know what you're touching, what's the cause, and what's the effect. That's all I need you to know. That gives me exactly what I need. That tells me you understand, you receive the knowledge, and you understand what you're doing. Everybody can be held accountable for what they're doing when they have an understanding. So for individuals who don't have an understanding, this is what we call maybe an ignorance. And so other people who are not professionals may not have the understanding. So they may be ignorant in knowledge. Okay.
Hey, Destiny, I don't know if you noticed, but your screen is not shared anymore.
Yeah, it's not shared because I was on a second device. And so I'm just waiting on that device to cool down. But we're still on the skeletal system. So once that device cools down, then I'll hook it back up.
No problem.
Okay, cool. So when we're continuously talking about the skeletal system, you have the skull, bones of the skull, and then bones of the cranium. Once we understand the shape, where these bones are located, and I tell everybody, learn the bones first. Once you learn the bones, then you know muscles are attached to those bones. It is easy for you to identify the muscles and the nerves after you learn the bones first. Okay? And so most of the time they all have similar names, just kind of change the ending just a little bit. But learn the bones first. So let's see if my device is ready to roll. Give me 1 second, guys. Hold on one moment. All right, we're back. Mic check. Oh, we're on. All right.
Okay. So, do y'all hear this feedback?
I don't hear it anymore.
Okay. I'm gonna keep going.
All right. So as I was stating about the bones, you have bones of the skull.
It's starting again with that feedback.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm still here.
I'm jumping off. Do not leave. Just stay right there.
Mic check. We're good.
That sounds great.
So let me get my technology together. I'm gonna figure it out. I call myself zooming from another area today. Just wanted to, sometimes I have to get out of the norm. But here we go. So when we look at bones of the skull is divided into two parts. All right. That's the cranium and then the facial skeletal. The cranium is going to be what is right under what we call the scalp. Okay. The scalp area, that is going to be our cranium. Our facial skeletal is going to be what we call the face. And so the skull consists of the face and the scalp. So with the cranium, it's 8 bones of the cranium. So we're going to have to we're going to get some creative ways to identify the 8 bones of the cranium. But this is because this deals directly with you guys. A lot of your sectionings are based on the cranium, parts of the cranium. And you may say, if we don't know, or have you ever heard of the term O bone or occipital bone or the egg shape in the back of the head? That is your occipital bone. That's when you take your hand and you can cuff. You basically can cuff your brain in the back of your head, that curvature, and it fits in your hand. That is where the occipital bone is. That occipital bone becomes a parting guideline. Without you having to draw a line, it becomes a parting guideline. It's the hindmost bone of the skull, below the parietal bones, forms the back of the skull above the nape. And so the nape is going to be the area that is under the O bone, that's flat, and then it's right there where the neck begins. So the occipital bone, we cut that word short and sometimes call it the O bone. Parietal bones, what we call parietal, they build the parietal ridge. It's the top of the cranium, and there's 2 bones. Then there's the frontal bone. It forms the front forehead. The frontal bone gives us what we call lace fronts. Y'all get it? You know, when you see a lace front, you got the lace across the front part of the wig. Everything has a connection. So it's supposed to be, wig is supposed to be laid down across the frontal bone. So it's the frontal bone. It forms the forehead. It goes from side to side. The temporal bones. These are the sides of the head in the ear region. It's 2 temporal bones. And when you start to see things that say 2 bones, we're talking about one on the left, one on the right. The ethmoid bone. light spongy bone between the eye socket, forms part of the nasal cavities. This is why it's so easy for this nose area to get broken, because these bones are spongy, they're not hard. All right, and it can easily be out of place. And then there's a sphenoid bone. It joins the bones of the cranial together. All right, and so it's just like the joints will help things come together and move. This is going to join all the bones together, the sphenoid. And so these are the bones of the cranial. Also, what I want you to look at is your terms. It moves directly into muscular system and striated muscles and non-striated muscles. What that simply means is these muscles operate either involuntarily or voluntarily. Now, our brain tells our muscles to move. The brain is like the king. All right, it's the king. This is why we need our brains to be as healthy as possible. This is also why there's a growing need of mental health awareness in beauty salons and barbershops. Why well, it ends in 2025, but I think it's going to be reinstated. It is a law that before you guys leave DCI Academy, I have to make sure you understand about, it's something called Sheer Heaven, and it is a domestic violence certification. It is a law in Tennessee that every student that goes through any course of education, beauty education, must go through this domestic violence training. Okay, not long coming. So it's coming. Also, they're going to include mental health training. Why do you think these two issues are they focusing on educating you about, since you're in the beauty industry? Why do you think these two issues are so important to them, to the lawmakers, to make you go through the training? Y'all can unmute. There's no wrong answer. Why do you think it's important? Why do you think the lawmakers want you to go through domestic violence training and mental health training? Anybody got a guess? Just guess. No guess?
I'm sorry. I stepped away to the restroom.
Okay. Why do you think? Why do you think I was getting down to the muscular system, and I was saying that the muscular system is controlled by the nervous system, the brain. There are muscles that are not going to wait on you to tell them what to do, and then there are muscles that say, hey, we're waiting on you. Before every student leaves DCI Academy, every student must go through something called Sheer Haven. Sheer Haven is a law, a training that is set in law. It is an actual law in Tennessee that says you have to have domestic violence training before you apply for a license in Tennessee. What's coming is mental health training as well. Why do you think that it's a law for you to go through a training, a mental health training and domestic violence training? Why do you think they targeted the beauty industry to go through that training?
We see the effects of everything in the body, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. And it shows in your hair. It shows everywhere, really, but we can really see. But you can also peg and pick up on it when somebody is sitting in your chair. Their movements, how they react, how they, the different people around them, to the loved ones, to the abuser themselves. So much can happen in that chair. You're kind of like the counselor. That's what my people call it. It's like, I'm ready for my counseling session.
You're absolutely right. So this brings us to being essential. Since the brain controls everything, your brain, your mental health is going to be important. This is where when the mind is not in the right place, everything else is out of place. They know that in the beauty industry, everybody comes to be beautified in some manner. We come in contact with the world. So why not educate the people who come in contact with the people, and so they'll have resources. And so that is a reason why we're going to have to go through mental health training. And it's just for us to learn about the resources to identify when someone's having a mental issue, breakdown, or something. We'll have the resources. And so for us, we want to keep the brain healthy. And that's how we keep the brain healthy, the nervous system healthy, is by following certain practices, foods, exercise, counseling, getting that therapy in, and then utilizing the resources that they're giving us, okay? And so all of that plays a part in, if the nervous system is the king and controls everything, we got to make sure it stays healthy. And so even in anatomy and physiology, there's something we may think about, and something, it may be an aha moment for a lot of people, because I'm seeing more people identify with, hey, I need help. And in the past, you did not see a lot of people say, my mental clarity is not there. I need some counseling. I need a session. I need help. I go see a counselor. I love it. I absolutely love it, because that tells me that they are more concerned with living life instead of living in a bubble. Okay. And we really deal with our clients a lot. We see them more and we know more. And so we need to utilize the information and resources we have to get our clients in the best state possible, so it can produce the best hair, the best skin, the best nails possible. And somebody may be saying, all of this for hair, skin, and nails? Yes, it is necessary. If one thing is healthy, everybody else is healthy as well. And if that one thing is off, everything else is off. All right. So when we look at the muscular system, we got 500 muscles. Okay. All right. When we look at the muscular system, it shapes and supports the skeletal system. It produces all movements of the body, and it consists of more than 500 muscles. No, I'm not expecting you to learn all 500 muscles. Over your career, I am expecting you to know all of the ones that are associated with you. If you're going to shampoo your client's hair, what muscles are you stimulating? It says massage stimulates these voluntary muscles that most to help increase blood flow and relax muscles.
Destiny, your screen is black again.
Hold on. Got it?
Perfect.
Perfect. Okay. No, I'm not expecting you to know all 500 muscles. All right. I'm not expecting you to do that. But if you're going to be working, if you're receiving money, some kind of compensation for a service, I am expecting you to understand the functions and identify the muscles, the bones, the nerves of whatever you're touching. That I am holding you responsible for. All right. And so if you're going to get something, you got to give something as well. My students, we have our aesthetic students that come in the building on Monday and Wednesdays. They say, oh, I want a facial or I want a wax. Okay, go ahead and prepare the room for a wax. When you do the wax, this is what I'm saying. So what are your steps? What are you touching? That's me. Until they give me complete understanding, I'm not stepping back. My job is to make sure you know this. All right. And so I do this with all of my students to make sure there's understanding. So we need to make sure whatever we're touching is what we understand. And then how do we stimulate most of those muscles? Through massage. All right. Also, I'm going to introduce you to electrotherapy, where you use electricity, different scalp devices that have electricity, that operate through electricity, radio waves. It's a skin device, but the spatula, they use that for extractions. They're using it on the scalp now to pull up whatever's in the follicle, clogged pores, to pull that up out the scalp so the hair can breathe. Instead of scratching dandruff, we would take that scrubber and put it on the scalp. It will send a radio wave down and push whatever's off the scalp up. And so you probably have seen that. If you haven't, I'll show you how it works. And also you use the high frequency, and the high frequency helps stimulate the blood and brings blood attention to those areas where blood has not been prevalent. Okay. Once that attention is in that area, if there are follicles left, it will start to feed and hair will start to grow. So you may be one of the persons that bring somebody edges back. Bring somebody's, was thin in those areas. Now it's growing more because you added some electrotherapy. All right. Also, just a little massage will help stimulate the blood and gets the nutrients to rolling as well. So sometimes the clients just need a little tender loving care on the head, face, neck, arms, and hands. Those are your areas that you are working. And so that massage, it does stimulate and increase the blood flow, and it relaxes. And so it is the main concern of the natural hair care specialist, is you want to get the muscles of those areas relaxed. Once they're relaxed, you'll start to see blood flow. And as it starts to increase in these areas, you will start to see the hair look healthier, okay, and promote growth. It promotes growth. The muscles of, there's 3 different types of muscles in the muscular system. Striated muscles, those are the skeletal muscles. Okay, these are the muscles attached to bones. Okay, they protect your internal organs. They not waiting on you. Then we have your non-striated muscles. These are smooth muscles that are involuntary and function automatically without conscious will. All right. These muscles are found in the internal organs of the body, such as digestive or respiratory systems. So even your organs have muscles, and they're not waiting on a signal from you to work. They can't wait on you, because some of us will be slow going around. I'll be all day. I'll be the first one to admit it. So they ain't waiting on me to digest food. They're not waiting on me to breathe. So there's non-striated muscles. And then you have cardiac muscle. It's an involuntary muscle. It doesn't wait on you. Your heart is not waiting on you. Okay. It is the only type of muscle of this kind. It's the cardiac muscle. All right. And it works hand in hand with the circulatory system. There are 3 parts of the muscle, and this is what we should mainly understand: our origin, our belly, and our insertion. And we're always going to move in the area, okay? It says in the area where it is contrary to the muscle, which means you're gonna move clockwise instead of going against the grain. You're gonna go with the grain. And origin, the part of the muscle that does not move and attach to the closest to the skeletal. The belly is the middle part of the muscle, and then the insertion, that this is part of the muscle that it moves, but it's farthest from the skeleton. When I say you're gonna go with the grain, it is going to cause the muscle to relax. Sometimes if that part of the body has not been touched, it can cause the muscle to contract, like contractions. But it can tighten, and then it eventually this relaxes out. Usually that's what happens. Sometimes individuals say, I had somebody tell me, I don't want to get a massage because it hurts. No, but first those muscles have to be tightened up, and you may go through a little discomfort, but it's necessary for you to enjoy what's on the other side of it. And so once they contract, then they start to smooth out. Okay, and once they smooth out, I mean, now your feelings of relaxation really comes into play. I also introduce you guys to hot stones. We use hot stones on the back, the face, but you can use the hot stones on the scalp as well to really relax the client's scalp, neck area. So you're working primarily with what you work with, and then from there, once you have those muscles relaxed, you're free to go. You're ready to roll. Let's look at the muscles of the scalp. The muscles of the scalp, epicranius. Okay. Now the epicranius is also known as occipital frontalis. Think about those muscles, the bones. Think about the bones we just learned. You had frontal bone and you had occipital bone. The frontal bone was in the forehead area. The occipital was in the back, above the nape. So now we have a muscle called the epicranius, but it's also known as occipital frontalis. So now the muscle has come together and it covers the occipital and the frontal area. So you have a muscle that starts from your frontal all the way back. One muscle. It says it's a broad muscle that covers the top of the skull and consists of the occipitalis and frontalis. So it's two muscles put together just like the bones. All right. The occipitalis is the back, and it has a benefit. Okay. It draws the scalp down, back. It draws it back. So if you was gonna hold your head back to drink something, or just lean your head back in the bowl, you're using your occipitalis muscle. The frontalis causes the wrinkles across the forehead, raises the eyebrows, draws the scalp forward. So if you're gonna hold your head down, you're gonna raise your eyebrows like, what you mean? And the wrinkles across the forehead, that's that frontalis muscle causing that to happen. Okay, and here's the thing, even though they're separate, they are known as the epicranius and occipital frontalis. So it may sound a little weird, but it's two separate muscles, but a lot of times they are known as one muscle. Epicranian or pronostrus, this is a tendon that connects the occipitalis and frontalis. Here's the thing. You have two muscles that's connected by a little rubber band. What you're gonna find when you study anatomy and physiology, that these little rubber bands are all over the body. You have a little rubber band, we call it tendon, that connects the whole back muscle right before your derriere just rounds out. So at the base of your back, you have a little muscle that connects the muscle from your buttocks to your back. A lot of times when you're up on your feet and you're like, oh, my backache, it's really not your back. It's that pressure that's on that little tiny rubber band. that area right there should be identified and massaged. So you'll have these little tendons that connect these muscles all over the body. And a lot of time it's not the muscles, but it's the pressure on these little tendons. Any questions? All right. So what I want you guys to do, go ahead and read over everything we talked about in 7. You will pick up at the nervous system and circulatory system. And we'll move into lymphatic, immune system. One of my favorite systems, okay? So we'll go a little deeper on Wednesday. I just want everybody to go ahead and reread and study what we talked about so far, and then just go a little bit further into those systems I just discussed, all the way to lymphatic immune system. And we'll pick it up on Wednesday. And when we pick it up on Wednesday, I will let you guys know what our project is going to be as far as anatomy and physiology. We will have a project, and it's probably going to be a PowerPoint project. So think about now these systems, and you're going to choose one that you like. All right. You're going to choose one that really interests you, and that's the one that I'm going to give you the details about as far as your project. That's what we're going to have. When it comes to your clock in, Ms. For our new student, I'm going to go ahead and do your clock in as soon as we get off. So look at your phone or look at your email, and then we'll be able to update from there, okay? I'll update you for last week from there because we have your sign in on virtual. We have all of your sign in ready to go. They emailed it to me, okay?
Okay.
Awesome, awesome. Any questions about our chapter we introduced today?
No questions.
No questions.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so I will see you guys Wednesday, and happy reading, Miss for our new student. And I'm just saying that because I don't really want to say your name on the live. As far as our new student, send me a message. Let me know that you're able to click on the link for your ebook. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Y'all have a blessed and amazing day. It has been a pleasure, and it is one of my favorite chapters. So get ready, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Have a great day, everybody.